Philadelphia, January 2004. A birthday party, kids tearing around a living room, paper plates, a cake nobody's cut yet. A woman crouches down next to a 6-year-old girl she's supposedly never met before, reaches into her hair like she's picking out a stray piece of gum, and comes away with 5 strands of it pinched between her fingers. She smiles. She says, "Thanks, sweetie." Then she walks out to her car, sits down, and starts shaking so hard she can barely get the key in the ignition. That woman is Luz Cuevas. She has just touched her daughter for the first time in 6 years. Everyone else at that party believes the little girl's name is Aliyah. Luz buried this child in 1997. Before any of that, there's just a young family in Feltonville, a working-class stretch of row homes in North Philadelphia. Luz Cuevas is 25, Puerto Rican, raising kids with her partner, Pedro Vera. They already have 2 children together. In December of 1997, they have a third, a girl born December 5th, 10 days old by the time this story turns. They name her Delimar. It's an ordinary life in the specific way that ordinary lives are. Busy, a little tight on money, full of relatives in and out of a narrow row house near the holidays. Christmas is a week and a half away. There's a tree up probably, space heaters running, because Philadelphia row homes in December are cold and old wiring is what it is. Pedro has family scattered around the neighborhood and out into New Jersey. Cousins, cousins of cousins, the kind of extended family where somebody's always coming by to see the new baby, dropping off a casserole, asking to hold her for a minute. That's just how it works in a big Puerto Rican family in Philadelphia in the 90s. Doors aren't locked against relatives. Trust isn't something you earn in that world. It's something you're born into by marriage or blood, and it's assumed until proven otherwise. One of those relatives, by marriage, is a woman in her mid-30s named Carolyn Correa. She's not blood family. She's connected through Pedro's side, a cousin's wife, or a cousin by marriage, depending who you ask. Distant enough that nobody would call her close. Close enough that she's welcome in the house without anyone thinking twice. Correa comes around not long after Delimar is born. She tells people she's pregnant too, due right around the same time. Funny coincidence, isn't it? Nobody has a reason to question that. Why would they? A woman says she's expecting. You take her word for it. You don't ask for paperwork. You don't ask to see an ultrasound. You just say congratulations, and maybe make a joke about the 2 babies growing up together. This is the world as everyone understood it in December 1997. A new baby, a big extended family, a woman on the edge of it who says she's about to have one of her own. Nothing here reads as strange yet. It only will later, and the person who's about to lose the most has no way of knowing that the danger isn't out on the street. It's already inside the family. Here's the thing about Carolyn Correa that nobody in the family clocks at the time, because why would they be looking? Nobody ever sees a doctor's appointment. Nobody throws her a baby shower. There's no bump anyone specifically remembers watching grow. She's just a woman who says she's pregnant, and the people around her extend the ordinary courtesy of believing her. According to later reporting, Correa's own boyfriend at the time, a man named Andre Moore, believed the pregnancy too. He thought he was about to be a father. That's worth sitting with for a second. It's not just Pedro's side of the family taking her word for it. The man supposedly having the baby with her believed it as well. Then, according to Correa's own account, she gives birth. At home, on December 12th, 1997. No hospital, no doctor, just a claim. 3 days later, The Cuevas house catches fire. Correa is there that night. She'd been visiting. At some point, she goes back upstairs, tells people she forgot her purse. Not long after she leaves, the fire starts. Investigators at the time believe it's an extension cord, maybe a space heater. Old wiring, cold night, nothing that reads as deliberate. Luz and 2 of her other children get out. Delimar's room is gutted. There's no body. Investigators conclude, reasonably, that a 10-day-old infant caught in that kind of blaze simply wouldn't leave much behind. The fire is put out in about 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. 10 minutes is enough. The family is told their daughter is dead. Not missing. Dead. Consumed by the fire, gone before anyone could reach her. There's no small casket, no burial, nothing physical to grieve over. Just a scorched room and a city investigator's report that says, in effect, there was nothing left to find. In a fire that intense, in a room that size, they explain, an infant's body simply wouldn't survive intact. It's a horrifying conclusion, but it's also the only one that makes sense to anyone standing in that gutted house. Nobody in that room is thinking about the woman who left 10 minutes earlier, saying she forgot her purse. And here's the detail that only means something in hindsight. Shortly after the fire, Correa stops coming around. The woman who'd been so present in the weeks after Delimar's birth, so eager to visit the new baby, just fades out of the family's life. At the time, nobody reads anything into it. People pull away after a tragedy. Grief makes families quiet in strange, uneven ways. Nobody's counting who stayed close and who didn't. It will take 6 years for anyone to connect these 2 facts. A woman who claimed a baby appeared from nowhere 3 days before a fire, and a woman who then disappeared the moment that fire made a real baby disappear too. Luz Cuevas spends the next 6 years grieving a child she believes died in that fire. There's no funeral with a body, there's nothing to bury, but there's a hole in the family shaped exactly like a 10-day-old girl. 15 miles away, in Willingboro, New Jersey, Carolyn Correa is raising a little girl she calls Aliyah. Not in hiding, not underground. Correa doesn't skip town, doesn't change her name, doesn't disappear into some other state. She stays close enough that a 15-mile drive is the only thing separating a stolen child from the mother who's mourning her. Aliyah goes on to do print ads. She has a talent manager. At one point, she appears in an episode of Blue's Clues, a small, ordinary detail that means a kidnapped child is, at that exact moment, on television in millions of homes, including possibly her own birth mother's living room, and nobody watching has any reason to look twice. This is a kidnapped child living, by outward appearance, an unremarkable and even mildly charmed childhood, a short drive from the family that buried her. In 1999, there's a moment that could have blown the whole thing open 2 years early. Andre Moore, the boyfriend who believed he'd fathered a baby with Correa in 1997, takes a paternity test. It comes back negative. The child is not his. If you're keeping score, that means the story Correa told her own partner about where this baby came from was false, provably false, on paper, 5 years before anyone else finds out. But a failed paternity test between 2 adults doesn't automatically connect itself to a house fire in another county. Moore's world and Cuevas's world don't intersect. The thread just sits there, cut, for 5 more years. Meanwhile, life in Philadelphia moves forward the way it has to. Cuevas and Pedro eventually split up, though they'll stay connected through their other children. The the neighborhood keeps going. Nobody is looking for Delimar because, as far as anyone knows, there's nothing left to look for. Then, in January 2004, Pedro's sister throws a birthday party. Family, kids, the usual crowd, which, because this is a wide, tangled, extended family, includes a woman most people there only vaguely know as a distant in-law. Nobody sends her a special invitation. Nobody plans around her being there. She's just part of the background of a big family gathering, the way she's always been. She brings her daughter along, a 6-year-old with dark hair and dimples, running around with the other kids like she belongs there, which, in a way nobody in that room understands yet, she actually does. Luz Cuevas sees that 6-year-old across the room, and something in her stomach drops. It's not a vague resemblance. It's specific. The eyes, the dimples, an expression that mirrors her own other children so closely, it stops her mid-sentence. She doesn't scream. She doesn't accuse anyone. She walks over, crouches down next to a child she has never officially met, and tells her there's gum in her hair. There isn't. It's the oldest excuse in the world to get a hair sample without anyone asking why. She pulls 5 strands, tucks them away, and gets out of that house before her face gives anything away. Weeks later, DNA results come back. The 6-year-old known as Aliyah is a genetic match for Luz Cuevas' daughter. Delimar Vera, presumed burned alive in December of 1997, is alive and has been 15 miles away the entire time, raised by a woman connected to the family by marriage. Go back to the fire. Correa was in that house that night. Correa left claiming she'd forgotten her purse. Correa had, by her own account, given birth 3 days earlier, with no doctor, no hospital, nothing anyone could verify. Correa vanished from the family's life the moment the fire made Delimar vanish from it too. None of that read as anything at the time. All of it reads as exactly one thing now. Police move fast. An arrest warrant goes out for Carolyn Correa on charges of kidnapping and arson. Correa turns herself into police in March of 2004. And almost immediately, the arson piece of the case starts to fall apart. Investigators ultimately conclude the fire really was accidental, likely a frayed cord, the same story from 1997, just now stripped of any deliberate motive behind it. The arson charge is dropped. What's left is kidnapping, interference with custody, and conspiracy, which raises an uncomfortable question nobody ever fully answers. If Correa didn't set the fire to cover her tracks, how did she end up with Delimar in the chaos of it, and did anyone help her? In February 2005, Correa pleads no contest. Not an admission of guilt, but not a fight either. That June, she's sentenced to 9 to 30 years. In court, she tells the judge, "Pedro gave me the baby," accusing Delimar's father of helping her. He denies it. He is never charged. No accomplice ever is. And at this point, more than 2 decades on, it's unlikely anyone will be. Correa's own defense at sentencing leaned on the claim that she suffered a delusional belief that the baby was truly hers, genuinely convinced, not just performing it for 6 years. Delimar goes home to Luz Cuevas that spring, back under her birth name, in a custody arrangement that gives Pedro supervised visitation. Her parents later sign a book and movie deal. A Lifetime film adaptation airs in 2008. Delimar herself stays largely out of the media for 2 decades, until a 2024 documentary lets her tell it from the inside, describing an identity crisis in her teens, a PTSD diagnosis, and the strange fact of having felt, as a small child, like she had 2 mothers without understanding why. Here's what still doesn't add up. more than 2 decades later, nobody was ever charged as an accomplice. Correa never fully explained how a 10-day-old infant disappears from a burning room without anyone noticing in the 10 minutes it took to put that fire out. Pedro Vera was accused in open court and walked away untouched. The system that investigated a 6-year-old kidnapping in 5 minutes flat, once it had a DNA match, somehow spent 6 years not investigating anything at all. Delimar got her mother back, but she never got a full answer for the 6 years she lost, and neither, really, did anyone watching this case unfold. That gap between the story that gets closed and the questions that never do is where True Untouched lives. If you want more cases like this, ones where the file gets closed but the truth doesn't, subscribe and stay with us.